Hey! This is Mr. Poddable. In this intense episode, Jack's life spirals out of control as he dives headfirst into the dark underworld, determined to find Emily at any cost. Driven by desperation and haunted by the secrets he uncovers, Jack crosses lines he never thought he'd approach, let alone breach. The thrill of the chase consumes him as he hacks into forbidden networks, infiltrates hidden layers, and engages in a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game with unseen enemies. With every step, Jack gets closer to the truth, but the shadows around him grow darker and more dangerous. Will his relentless pursuit lead him to Emily, or will it destroy him first? This is a journey into the abyss, where nothing is as it seems, and survival is anything but guaranteed. The lines between right and wrong blur as he risks everything, navigating the dark web and breaking into secretive strongholds. But when the hunter becomes the hunted, will Jack find the truth, or be swallowed by the abyss? The city stretched out beneath me, a sprawling mess of lights flickering like dying embers against the night sky. I stood on the rooftop, the cold air biting at my skin, trying to catch my breath. The world I knew had become unrecognizable, twisted and hostile. The skyline, once familiar and comforting, now looked jagged and threatening. Each building loomed like a monument to the secrets that had been buried within its walls, secrets I was determined to uncover. Emily's absence was a gaping wound that refused to heal. It gnawed at my sanity, haunting me every moment of every day. Her laughter, her touch, the warmth she brought to my life, all of it was gone, leaving behind only a cold emptiness. Our apartment, which once felt like a sanctuary, had become a tomb. I spent hours there, tearing through drawers, searching for anything that might lead me to her. But it was as if she had never existed. There was nothing left, not even a hint of where she might be. Going back to my own apartment didn't help. The walls seemed to close in on me, the silence deafening. Paranoia gripped me tightly. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the windows, it all felt like a warning, like someone was watching me. Sleep was impossible. My mind raced with questions, with fears, with the horrible reality that I might never find her. Desperation drove me to do something I never thought I'd do. I turned to the dark web. I had heard the stories, the warnings about the dark corners of the internet where anything could be found, for a price. But I didn't care about the risks. All I cared about was finding Emily, about understanding what had happened to her. I needed answers, and if I had to plunge into darkness to get them, so be it. I sat in front of my computer, my hands shaking as I typed in the encrypted address. The screen flickered, and I was into a world I barely understood. The dark web was a maze of hidden forums, secret marketplaces, and chat rooms where anonymity was paramount. I crafted a false identity, a backstory that would keep the wolves at bay while I hunted for the truth. Days turned into nights as I scoured the web for any clue, any whisper that might lead me to Emily. The deeper I went, the more I realized that her disappearance wasn't an isolated incident. There was something bigger at play, something sinister that connected everything. I found whispers of a network, a shadowy organization that operated in the spaces between the law. This wasn't just about Emily, it was about power, control, and secrets that were worth killing for. I knew I was getting close when I started noticing things, small things, like the same car parked outside my building, the same faces in the crowd. I was being watched. My every move was being tracked, and the paranoia that had once felt irrational now became my only defense. I couldn't let them catch me, not when I was so close to finding her. But I couldn't just sit back and wait for them to make their move. I had to strike first. I used every skill I had, hacking into security cameras, tracing digital footprints, creating false identities. I broke into offices in the dead of night, searching for documents that couldn't be found online. I bribed informants, blackmailed low-level operatives, and even stole a car when I needed to get out of town fast. The lines between right and wrong blurred until I could no longer see them. One night, I found myself standing outside an old warehouse on the edge of the city. It looked abandoned, but I knew better. This was where the network operated from the shadows. With a stolen key card in hand, I slipped inside. The warehouse was a maze of corridors and rooms filled with high-tech equipment. It was like something out of a nightmare, a place where morality didn't exist. I moved through the building, avoiding cameras, my heart pounding in my chest. I finally found what I was looking for, a terminal connected to the network's mainframe. I had one shot at this. I had to find Emily, had to bring her back from wherever they had taken her. Just as I started hacking into the system, alarms blared. I had tripped a security protocol. Panic surged through me, but I pushed it down, forcing my hands to move faster over the keyboard. I was so close, so damn close to the truth. But then I heard footsteps, getting closer, And I knew I was out of time. I managed to find the files I needed, but just as I hit the send button, the door burst open. Men in tactical gear stormed in, guns drawn. I barely had time to register what was happening before they tackled me to the ground. They cuffed my hands behind my back, yanking me to my feet. I struggled, but it was no use. The last thing I saw before they dragged me away was the screen, flashing with Emily's name and an address, her location. My only clue, my last hope. They took me to a dark room deep within the warehouse. They tied me to a chair, and I could feel the cold sweat trickling down my back. A man stepped out of the shadows, his face obscured but his voice chillingly familiar. "You've been digging where you don't belong," the man said, his tone almost amused. "Did you really think you could find her?" My heart raced as I stared into the darkness, trying to place his voice. I knew it, but from where? Fear twisted in my gut, but I couldn't show it. Not now. "I know more than you think," I said, forcing confidence into my voice. The man chuckled. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. But you will. Soon enough." The door creaked open again, and I felt a sharp pain in my neck, a needle. The world started to spin, my vision blurring as I tried to fight off the drug. The last thing I heard before everything went black was the man's voice, low and threatening. "Welcome to the abyss." As consciousness faded, the only thought that kept me tethered to reality was that I had sent the files. Someone would see them. Someone would know. But would it be enough? Would they find me before it was too late? Would Emily? The abyss has swallowed me whole, but the game isn't over. Not by a long shot. What happens next? Stay tuned for Chapter 8. Thanks for listening, stay curious, stay awesome, and as always, keep it Poddable. See you in the next episode.